Hello, good morning. Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Good Morning Nasdaq. We are live right here on the 6th day of January, year of our Lord 2025. That is Mike Hudson. I am Dom Master Mateo. We're here for another fun, jam-packed morning. Looks like we got some GAPAs to talk about. Looks like we got a few 100%ers, a 200%er, a real company squeezed in there. We'll talk about all that stuff this morning, plus any other questions you guys have if we have time towards the end over in the live chat. So please get in there. We see P. Daddy Slim in there, Wayne, Sean, Thomas. Good morning. Good morning. Hope you guys had a fantastic weekend. We finally have a full week of trading, if I'm not mistaken. We've had Wednesdays off for the past few weeks with Christmas and New Year's, and now we're back at it. It is officially 2025. And we're going into it full force. How we doing, Huddie from Taiwan?
It did feel like last week was the week of 4 different Fridays. Like every day felt like a Friday and it wasn't until it was actually Friday.
It finally feels like Monday.
It does feel like Monday. I'm in Thailand, not Taiwan, but I can see how you
Thailand's
get them
little
mixed
brother
up.
is what people call it.
And we got some gappers. So yeah, feeling good, feeling ready for the week. Why the hell not?
Feeling good, feeling froggy.
A little froggy.
Feeling froggy. Yeah, we got some momentum into last week. We had robotics take off as a new sector with ARB,
Cool.
Kit, MBOT, old friends, which is kind of what we've been asking for, right? Like, I want to stop pulling up RGTI every day. That's like my goal in life. That's my biggest goal of 2025. So it's nice that the market is kind of handing off some momentum into different areas. We'll see how those charts do today and what it looks like going forward. Not a lot of predicting that we do over here, so it's just kind of take what the market gives. And wait, Wayne says Thursday is off Carter's funeral. Did they really announce that?
Yeah.
So it's not a full week.
It's not a full week.
Oh, man. Wow, what are we going to do Thursday? Ugh.
You're okay, girl?
Okay. All right, wonderful, fantastic. Good morning, everybody. I'm trying to think if I have anything to say. I don't. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make the year 2025 the year that you subscribe to Clover Trading, that we get to, who knows, 7, 8, 10,000 subscribers. You never know. We're live every day the market is open. We post long form content every week, so hit that thumbs up button as well. I'd like to get that number up towards 50 if you're new around here. We talk about the biggest gappers of the day in small cap land, usually low floatas, a lot of times with no news, but if there is, we dissect the catalyst, go through their dilution, talk about their daily chart, and Huddy will give us a thumbs up or thumbs down if he's bullish or bearish. And then we answer some of your questions, and we go to work. We go to school for the day. So, without further ado, right? Very French. We're going to get into it. Biggest gap of the day is RHE, or as Huddy pronounces it, Regional Health Properties. It's a medical care
Real estate
facility.
company.
Is it?
Sorry. Kind of.
Yeah, that's not what it says. It says it's a regional health property.
They invest in senior living and long-term care.
I guess so. Those are usually big buildings. Usually on the side of a little creek or pond, right?
Sure, if they're lucky.
Yep, 1.68 million float. I have New York Stock Exchange, which probably means that you have Amex, which means it's not NASDAQ. I don't see any news. Do you see news today?
Yes, they're acquiring Sun Lake Health in an all-stock deal.
Keep it stock,
what I
keep it
see.
100, right?
Yeah.
What do you see here in the dilution? They're cash flow positive. I don't see any dilution filings. This feels very more real company-wise. You know, whenever I see the dilution tracker and it's all bold blue bars across the top for the last, 10 years, I'm like, they haven't done a lot of dilutioning, huh?
Probably not. The sticker's been around for quite some time.
Talk
I've
about
definitely
it.
seen it before. I feel like I remember it squeezing the last time I saw it, but it's probably done a lot of reverse splits since then.
Have they? Well, they are a pretty low float. Yeah, going back, they looks like they ran a little in 2021. A nice little big breakout here from the fours all the way to the high 20s. Since then, it's been pretty top left to bottom right. Got some runs involved along the way. Some resistance from back in 2022 in the 570s to $7 area, which is kind of the range that we've taken this morning. The highs of this AM. We had a little spike in top out at 280 on bleh volume earlier of end of last year, I guess. And we're the biggest gap of the day, up 222%. Looks like that news probably came out right on this wick here at 7:23 a.m. Nice little flag consolidating near the highs right now. What do you think here?
That this thing is in like a massive long-term downtrend, and I don't know if this acquisition, I'm going to call it acquisition news because they're acquiring a company. I don't really know. I don't know if this is bullish or not bullish, but there's probably some ounce of exaggerated price increase in this 200%. That's how I always kind of go into it. I don't really feel like a lot of these press releases are as good as the gap ups present themselves to be. But that's without having really a fundamental understanding of what the acquisition is.
Okay. Up 216% right now is the biggest gap of the day. Is a 1.68 million float, lower float. Daily chart doesn't give us too much perspective on a recent history of big gap ups. The most recent one was a small little run on pretty light volume. We've already done over 10 million in volume this morning. And like I said, to have some resistance in that 5 to 7 area. So we'll see if that continues to act as resistance or if we continue to go higher. We don't really, I think towards the end of last week, we didn't talk about this yet. The theme kind of shifted in Gapland, right? From squeezing out and going nuts to a lot more failure, a lot more quick, short-lived morning spikes led by good amount of fade throughout the day. Does that at all impact what you want to do this morning, or is it a fresh day and you'll just do what you're supposed to do?
For me, it's a fresh day. I don't really care what happened last week. I'm still going to execute on my strategies that are kind of presented in front of me if they meet my criteria, and I don't really take it week by week. I think we're in a bull cycle right now. I think we've been in a bull cycle. December, January, February, usually the hottest time of small caps. So like that, I think is more prevalent every week more than anything. And then we're also in the midst of kind of like an election year. So there's a lot of volatility and I think that's what you're supposed to expect to see. So I maybe it affects the gappers, but like, I don't think it does. I think that's the main thing I'm concerned about, though, if I'm looking at the market as a whole.
Awesome. Fantastic. Moving along slowly and steadily to Fubo TV, which is a real company. I've seen commercials for them, so that makes them real, right? Fubo. Did I say Fubu? Fubo. Fubo TV, 319 million float broadcasting. Obviously, you've probably seen them. They show you the television. They're like a sling, I think, where you can it's like an app that you can watch, or like YouTube TV, something like that, where you're watching sports and shows and get your drama, your TLC, I think, all that through them. Pretty big float, pretty real company. 19 minutes ago, them and Disney's Hulu Plus Live TV virtual MVPD businesses to combine. Well, seems like pretty big news, pretty big name. So Disney's combining their Hulu Plus Live TV with Fubo and become a majority owner of the resulting company. So this is basically it's going to be under Disney. Pretty good news, no?
I guess.
What are you guessing about?
I guess. They're just kind of dilutive. So although maybe it's good sounding news, like, well, first of all, is the deal going through? Is it real news?
It says, I feel like these companies don't usually pull a whole lot of covers over our eyes.
Maybe. I don't know. I see a lot of dilution from 2023 priced at $3.83. If they were to convert it all, it's $177 million worth, which is considerable. I don't know. I'm always like, if I think the company is maybe a scam, which I guess Fubo TV is a real thing. So maybe not a scam. But again, like I saw companies like MedMen go into the gutter and because their financials were horrible and because they need to dilute in order to keep their company alive. So either this PR is some type of PR, in my opinion, to get these convertible notes converted and put some cash in the bank, or maybe it doesn't matter and then the news is real and this is like a turnaround for Fubo and they're going to be well positioned in this space. I don't know really. It's one or the other.
How do you feel about, this kind of being a low price stock in the small cap world with such a big float? Does that turn you off maybe to even watching it at all? Or do you think this has the capability to be a big runner?
Well, I think it definitely has the capability of being a big runner. If you're looking back in 2020 and 2021, I remember this being a big runner. But again, since then, they've done something financially or fundamentally horrible that sent their stock from $50 all the way back down to $1, and now we're gapping up to 4 when we've seen highs of 60. So, like, can it catch shorts off guard? Like, are people betting against this company? It seems like that. And in the past, it's kind of caught them off guard. And maybe that's what's happening again. But I think the overall direction of this is that it's just a badly run company. And until we clear whatever fundamental issue that they have, like, it's going to take a while for this to have a real turnaround. I don't know. That'd be my. I probably won't even watch it that much.
Yeah, looking at the daily chart, we bring this up earlier in the year and last year when we were talking about stuff like Soon. You can just kind of tell more real in terms of volume, right? A lot of the first one we talked about today, RHE, you look at, and on any given day, it might trade 3,000 or 0 volume, and it really is only moving when it gets news, when there's a catalyst, when there's people watching it and picking it up. Fubo, you can see that each and every day it's trading, like 10 million shares, it looks like, is around the average. Every single day it's traded. Clearly, we've on this news right now, sounds big for it. It's a connection with a big name, Disney, and it's up a lot, and the volume has increased up to 86 million already this AM, and this already feels more real. I'm not sure exactly which angle to take. The main angle is that it's up 220%, and whether you're a true low float small cap or you're a real company, that is a hard thing to sustain. Not necessarily positive on what the price action looks like today or how it kind of feels itself out. You got to think on companies and stocks that are trading more often. Like, we're above all of last year's highs right now here in the pre-market. If there's any backholders, any investors, maybe some profit taking right out of the gate this morning before it finds itself, and maybe settles in at some previous resistance level, turning into support. But always another layer when you're kind of trading a more real company in the small cap space, or at least at cheaper prices. So that is Fubo. Looks like it's going to be a pretty big volume day for it, and we'll see what it has to offer. The next biggest gapper of the day looks like an old China pump. Meggle? Maybe it wasn't a pump. I got to look here in a second.
Looks like a pump.
Anything from the dilution tracker that you want to talk about on Magic Empire Global 9 million float?
The reason that I think it was a pump, besides obviously the chart action that you see from the first 3 days that it traded, is that they have this Network One financial bank that did their IPO, and I don't know what they are or are not capable of given the liquidity that's being traded into it, but I do classify this as, in that blatant and obvious pump territory. And I think people should know that going into it if they decide to trade it.
Yeah, not a lot else going on when you're looking at the dilution tracker page. No news that I can see today. We saw some China stocks run last week or within the last week. We saw Holo running. What's the other one I'm thinking of? Not Fifi. Is there another China runner?
MLGO.
Maybe. Did that run at all? So maybe just working on the backs of that, and we're working through a couple of these. I don't see news. Do you?
No.
Yeah, so just popping up this morning, up 131%, was as high as the 190s, coming from 50 cents from last week. Hasn't done a whole lot of pumping, it looks like, over the past year. A little run back here in October that barely really got going. You have a big gap and crap day. So the last time it had volume like we see this morning, and it gapped up a lot from the dollar area up to 4. Did have a morning spike before giving it all back over the next couple days and weeks. When I see these type of plays, yeah, then you can see back IPO and then just getting crushed into the ground, kind of what we generally see from China pumps from 2022. But when I see these tickers kind of pop back up, I get a little bit of paranoia, a little bit of worry and scare from them, even though most of them don't continue to go on future runs following their death of whatever day they decided to go down and liquidate 80 to 90%. We have seen some go on pretty insane moves like MLGO or Holo. But a lot of the times they just kind of have funky price action. Let's take a look at the intraday. It is already fading. Looks like it had some strength into the close and after hours on Friday. Gapped up significantly this morning and has faded back off, still up 133%. But I generally leave these alone and find that the headache's not worth. Is the juice worth the squeeze? Is that what they say?
Yeah.
And I don't really like Chinese juice, I guess, is the main thing. And so I probably won't look too much into this one, but it is there. It is one of the biggest gappers of the day, so we'll see if it gets picked up. It's already done over 50 million in volume, 57 mil to be exact. So there's a chance, but there is a lot moving overall in the market right now. There's a lot of gappers. You know, Kyle's talking about it in the room right now, just trying to go through the news, the catalyst, prices, floats, all that stuff, and trying to dissect which ones make the most sense. I encourage everyone to do the same. But that is Megal, Magic Empire Global, out of China, Hong Kong, and up 133%. All right. Where do you want to go next, Huddie? We got a couple 80% gappers. We got some runners in the robotics world that are gapping up this morning, 50, 60, 70% that are plays
those
from
are worthy
Friday.
of mentioning.
Okay. Talk to me.
Just the robotics sector. I mean, again, like we're just in a bull cycle, so we're kind of looking for sectors, looking for themes, things that have been pushing markets. And you know, it was quantum stocks at the end of December there, and it seems like with KITT, EKSO, KSCP, and a couple other ones, there are some robotics companies, ARB Robotics as well. I see as the next biggest gapper. So there's kind of a theme there, and I'd start making maybe a watch list. You know, categorized by sectors and look for patterns within the hot sectors with big volume, big charts.
Yeah, one of those things it's good to take note. I know the answer if I asked Huddie, but you know, Huddie doesn't pull these all up. You're traveling, so you probably near market close, you're probably not watching. But there was a lot of momentum, a lot of interest, a lot of spikes and gaps, and obviously here we are. They're up higher this morning. We kind of gone from that AI to quantum to now, you know, robotics, which is kind of a cool little theme. A lot of these stocks have robotics in the name. You know, you have some laggers that have robotics in their titles, you know, like OPTT, which is one that, you know, is ocean technology, but they have robotics in their description when you look them up. And when we go from theme to theme and sector to sector, I think the most important thing is just to be up to date with the stocks that are in that world, in that sector. You know, when we were on our come up in 2016, 17, 18, and we had sectors like Bitcoin or marijuana, and then we transitioned into, you know, shroom stocks, and then Bitcoin again, then COVID, then oil and gas and energy. You know, a lot of people ask, like, how do you know the stocks in those worlds? How do you know how to, like, put your foot on the gas and make a ton of money during those periods of time on those breakouts, on those first red days? And the biggest piece of advice I ever got or had given is just to have the right stocks on watch and then just trade the patterns as you would, maybe with a little bit more aggression or a little bit more size or a little bit more patience. But the main thing is just having good understanding, whether that's using the Clover room, going through your scanner and going through descriptions and finding stocks that fit that same world, watching your scanner just for things that pop up and if they're in that world. But the most important thing is just to have the right stocks on watch. Like if by now you don't know all the quantum stocks, you're behind the eight ball. And just because we see all this popping up this morning, Huddie, does that mean you immediately go and say, hey, it's time to buy all these robotic stocks, it's time to short them all? You're just making your list and being ready for any future moves on them, correct?
Yeah, I mean, if anything, I probably noticed this early on, and if anything, I'm long RR overnight, seeing that one is technically a breakout.
Railroad? Yeah, the cool thing, they were all kind of
essentially what I'm
breakouts.
doing is, like, I'm taking the sector and building a watch list, and then I'm setting, you know, key price alerts at breakout levels or breakdown levels or whatever I'm looking for in that stock, and then waiting for that to happen, and then playing the ones that are patterns. I'm not like playing whack-a-mole and just buying them all because I think they all have to go up. I still want to make sure that I'm playing patterns and not over trading, because I think it can be enticing to want to like buy a bunch of stuff in these types of markets. And I'm always kind of like the less trades I have on the long side, the better. My win rate. So
did you go through and do your recap for 2024 already for yourself?
Yeah.
So you know your numbers, your numeros?
I know my numbers.
Yeah, there was some eye-opening stuff for me. Not really that eye-opening. More of just confirmation of who I am as a trader. It's so crazy. It's hard to run from that, you know, who we are. William says, Dom, you had a banger with AREB. Yeah, I did. And I sold it Friday and after hours. But that one is up a lot right now. I really struggle swinging stuff from Friday to Monday. I just love starting the week fresh. I hate in general just any day from one day to the next starting down on the day.
You can't run from who you are.
You can't run from who you are. But so, yeah, it's a great time to swing. I feel like Friday to Monday, especially when it's revolved around news, catalysts, sectors, themes, whatever it is. And you're seeing that right now with the theme, you know, over the weekend. Not confusing at all to me. Ty says, good morning, fellas. Get those likes up, 100 plus freeloaders in here. I wouldn't call you guys that. But yeah, let's get that number up towards 50 here. Let's see if there's any questions. A lot of people mentioning that President Carter's passing will be closed Thursday. So we will have Wine Wednesday this week. So Huddie will probably be there for that. We haven't had it the last 2 weeks, so that's good to see that we will have at least that. Throne says, Huddie, what time do you stop trading in your time zone in Taiwan?
I've been kind of throwing in the towel at midnight because I don't trust my stops to work when I'm sleeping. So I've kind of changed my strategy a little bit well, that's what I've done for the past 2 days. I honestly stopped trading for the first 2 weeks. In Japan, it was much harder. And I find that when I have like open positions, like it's really hard for me to go to sleep. So I'm still trying to balance it. You know, last year I was able to just go to sleep instead of stop. But now that my size is bigger, it feels a little bit more irresponsible. And if I can just make money every day and kind of move the chains, get 10 yards, get closer to the touchdown type of mentality, I'm down with that. So I'm either going to strict cut off at midnight or swing them until I wake up at 4 a.m.
Yeah, I mean, we all wake up at 4 a.m. sometimes to sell swing. So, you know, the market's just closing at 4 p.m. or 4 a.m. for you, you know? It's 4 a.m. somewhere is what I like to say, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, it is 9:18. We'll be back live tomorrow for another episode of Good Morning Nasdaq. We're going to go have the best week we possibly can. We're going to hang out with the Clovers right now in the room. You guys will have your webinar schedule as well coming in just a few short hours. Wow, like never got to 50. We had over 140, 45 likes. If anyone wants to hit it on their way out, I don't know what it does for any.
You were long ARB?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It was, I guess. I did well.
I'm just like looking at that. Wow, look at that.
Yeah, look at that.
That's a breakout.
But if you're interested in joining Clover, being a part of the education over there at clovertrain.io, check us out. Hit us up on the socials or reach out to support if you want more information. If not, and you're just here for the YouTube, we'll be live again tomorrow. And we're live every day that the market is open. So make sure your notifications are turned on, that you're subscribed to the channel. And we will see you all tomorrow morning. All you Clovers, we will see you right now. And we'll get after it for market open.